Okay, we are now recording. Welcome to the Hardcore Dads Club videocast. My name is Jesse Briggs. I am an owner of a mixed martial arts academy where we teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and Filipino martial arts. That's about it I can say about myself. Jeremy, go ahead and introduce yourself. Allow yourself to introduce yourself.
Myself. I'm Jeremy Reed. Currently work as just boring operations manager for a corporate wellness company, but I have a background in strength conditioning, sports nutrition, master's degree from Baylor University, trained jiu-jitsu for a really long time, and I do a lot of high-end competitive shooting right now. So I actually travel around the country, competing in different competitions, shooting a lot of guns really fast.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So if anybody ever has any firearms questions, I'm going to have Jeremy do some videos. Hopefully we'll get a supplementary video this week of Jeremy just teaching some basic safety with pistols. All right. Yeah. And then we'll show you how to practice in your house safely, right, without having to go to the range every day doing some dry firing. All right. So we were talking this morning on the phone. Figured we'd save it for the video cast. We're talking about, I'm going to steal this from Dan John. He calls it keeping the goal the goal. Sometimes when we were doing workouts and things like that, we get super carried away with almost forgetting why we started it in the first place. I think that's really important, especially as you get older or you run on constraints of time. For me, it's just difficult. Like, I'll set a goal and then it's like, I'm so busy with the kids, this and that, I've got to like modify it. And then you get frustrated. Say, let's give an example. Let's say you go, all right, I'm going to run a marathon. I want to get in shape. I'm going to run a marathon, right? Then you get injured at some point doing that. And you forget your goal it was to run a marathon. But the real reason you were running that marathon is because you wanted to get in shape. And it's like that goal is still possible, but you got to make readjustments. And because you kind of got carried away off on that, like you took a left turn. You want to elaborate on anything?
Yeah, I think where I've seen this personally has been lifting, exercising for sport. For a long time it was jiu-jitsu for me, trying to get in better shape and get stronger so I can be stronger on the mat. And that's really my goal. That's the whole reason I was training for. But you start these really cool workouts, you start doing these cool exercises, and then you want to do more cool exercises, or you want to do bench more, squat more. And next thing you know, I'm trying to, deadlift 500 pounds, 600 pounds. And then my whole routine kind of changes to be able to do that. So I start adding in other exercises that now are more geared towards helping me deadlift 500 pounds, but maybe aren't really helping me with being strong on the mat. And in that process, kind of got lost down that rabbit hole of, well, I want to do this, or I want to do this cool exercise because it looks cool. I want to be able to do this or that. And then, that kind of becomes your goal, and all your training gets focused on that to do it for the sake of doing it instead of doing it for, again, that original goal and reason we wanted to. And there was a time where I started, I was getting really awesome. I was getting really strong, but I wasn't really getting stronger on the mat.
Yep.
But I was getting really stronger lifting a bar off the ground, which, again, if that was my main goal, awesome. But if my main goal was to be strong for jiu-jitsu, it wasn't really helping me.
Definitely.
And I think the flip side to that is you start getting too far down that, and then you open yourself up to injuries and other issues that are now keeping you away from training jiu-jitsu, which was my original goal.
Yeah, that's the problem that happens to me. We were talking. I set a goal. I was working on the Grease the Groove for a couple of weeks. I was having a lot of success. I was doing one-arm push-ups, pistol squats, which is a one-legged squat, and then doing snatches. And what happened is in the middle, maybe like 2 weeks in, I was getting closer and closer to doing a full one-arm push-up, and I strained my pec muscle. And then now I'm in the situation of, well, I started this and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? And you kind of have two options. You go, well, I can't do my goal anymore, so I'm just going to rest, or I'm going to quit until I can. But then you realize, well, what was the reason I was doing this? It's to stay in shape, kind of stay functionally strong for martial arts for me, you know, and going, all right, well, let's readjust it, do something else to help improve in that field so that I'm staying strong. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think, again, keeping the goal is kind of the best way to really put it, and not getting too lost into the details. And I mean, the other way, you know, we've explained this is, and kind of a, I guess, related situation is, you know, majoring in the minors, where you're focusing too much on the little things that aren't really having a major impact, instead of focusing on, again, what really matters.
Yeah.
The big picture.
I got you.
You know, we see that again, martial. I see a lot in shooting, where people are so focused on one little aspect where they're trying to shave 1/10, 2/10 of a second, you know, and they're really, really hammering out the practice for that. But there's other areas where they could save 2 or 3 full seconds. So again, what is the goal? To be better, to have a better time. While shaving 2 or 3 full seconds is way better than shaving 2 or 3/10 of a second.
Yeah.
So again, keeping your overall goal the same instead of getting so into, man, I want my shotgun load to be the fastest ever, which is cool. Makes really cool videos you can post online.
Sure.
But not exactly helping your goal of finishing and competing better in that sport.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and sometimes I think that I think that's why it's important to write down your goals sometimes, so that you kind of you can look back to it and say, am I accomplishing this thing right here? So it kind of gives you a compass to what direction you're going. I just can't even think of how many times I did that. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, I was getting in shape to do a competition, and it was like, I got carried away. I was like, I'm going to do snatches every day, which is, you know, lifting that barbell overhead. And I was like, I want to get to being able to do, you know, whatever the weight was. I actually think it was clean and presses I was doing. And I was like, all right, I want to get over 225-pound clean and press. And I'm like, yeah. And it started to become where I started having elbow issues, shoulder issues. And then you're just like, oh, man. And you go, wait, the goal to get that weight was only so that I'd be in shape for this tournament. So what am I going to do to readjust it? You know? Yeah. So going back, I just, I don't even remember what we did. I always call you when it goes wrong.
Yeah. I would get those calls. Hey, you got a couple seconds?
Yeah. Here we go.
There we go.
Yeah. But, you know, I see it all the time, especially in the academy. And this is twofold, right? The first is people do jujitsu, right? And they're kind of working towards a goal of being better at jujitsu. Oh, I just want to be better. I want to, you know, get my blue belt or whatever the goal is. And what happens is they go off on this tangent and they're like trying to improve this. And like, say, then they have like a hip flexor injury. And they're like, well, I can't use my guard, so I'm just not going to train. And it's like, well, there's so many other aspects that you can train all your top game, train all of this. Just because you're not working that specific position or something that you really wanted to master, that doesn't always necessarily correlate with the goal of getting better. You know? I see this too, especially like with jiu-jitsu more than anything else, because jiu-jitsu is a sport, right? And there's a competition that people can do. What happens is I'd say 80% of the people that come into the school are there because they want to learn to defend themselves. And they heard that jiu-jitsu is a great way to do that. And I'm like, yeah, it is. But then what happens is you get carried away in that field of, all right, well, the culture kind of pulls you to compete. And then you feel like, well, now I have to compete in order to do this. Now I got to, you know, if I'm going to compete, I got to have these crazy guard moves, all these moves that don't really apply to self-defense. And then you go, hey, remember, win or lose in this whole thing, what's your goal? So focusing on certain moves, like, all right, maybe you won't have as much tournament success doing certain things, but focusing on those is helping you to still reach that goal of being able to defend yourself. I don't know, have you seen that before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, lose purpose of the original goal. And then, yeah, I think we've talked about this a lot at a certain point, especially with martial arts, jiu-jitsu in particular, but I think just about every martial arts, you hit that point where you are now learning how to do jiu-jitsu against people who know jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's not that it's lost its self-defense aspect, because there's still a lot of great aspects about it that will help you in a self-defense situation, and being more skilled will always help. But at a certain point, really, you're just, you're learning how to beat other people who have skill, as opposed to just, again, that basic self-defense scenario. I think something else you said that was really, really good is that, I'm injured, so I can't do this, so I'm just going to stop and not do anything. I remember there was a time, it's probably one of my least favorite times in jiu-jitsu, but probably one of the most beneficial, was actually I tore my calf.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
And yeah, it's not fun. Calf injuries are stupid and they're like not that annoying, but as soon as you press it, it's just excruciating. You just can't drive off of your foot.
Yeah.
So I could essentially do no top game. I could do 0 takedowns, and, I couldn't get up and stay and put any pressure on top, which is really my game. And one of the things I'm fairly decent at jiu-jitsu. So, I kind of thought, I'm just going to stop training. Then I said, well, you know what? I can still go in and I can still just play guard, right?
Yeah.
I can work from the bottom, because none of that pushing somebody with my foot didn't really bug it, because it wasn't enough pressure to really bug my calf. But again, supporting my weight and driving off of it while standing I couldn't do.
You would have re-injured it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up spending like a month literally only training on my back. And with that, I couldn't even really sweep people, because I couldn't even then get on top. So I could do a sweep, but then I would almost have to let them back on top.
So you just had to stay on with your back on the mat.
Right. And as extremely frustrating as that was, because again,
You've always been but that's always been your
fairly decent
position.
Yeah.
And your ability to be offensive on your back is been your weak part. So it really.
So yeah, as awful as it was very beneficial, because I saw things that I don't want to say I've never seen before, but it just, in a way, saw things I'd never seen before training wise. Because I was always looking for, if there was ever that instance where I could get on top, that's what I was doing. I would always take the sweep over a submission attempt, right?
Yes.
It was, if I can get on top, I'm more comfortable. I felt like I can, be advantageous for the rest of the match, where a submission, if I don't get it, now I'm still in my not preferred position.
Yeah.
So because of that, it kind of forced me to see things differently, and it really honestly helped my game, probably more than any other 1 month period.
That's why I think like positional training is so important. Like doing each specific position, so that you're like really laser beam focusing on it. Ben Askren talks about that all the time. He's like, jiu-jitsu guys, like the system is good, but the way we train it is inefficient, because we just high five and then we just roll, and whatever position that you started class focusing on, say if it was like, escapes from the scarf hold, that headlock position or something, right? You may end up in it once in a roll. So now using it against a contested opponent, you only get one good repetition. That's not really helping you to develop that thing. And it's like your goal that day should be to work the specific thing that you did in class.
You're missing the prime time where your body is essentially primed to be able to see that move, recognize when you should do it, and actually perform it. And that's one of the hard aspects of, really any high-end skill, but especially when you talk jiu-jitsu, where there's another person involved who is trying to actively stop you from doing things.
Yes.
That's always one of the hardest things for people to get is, okay, I know how to do this move, but when do I do it? What position can I go for it in? And then when I do it, how do I do it when somebody's resisting? And getting, again, those repetitions that really help you learn those fine details and the fine adjustments of it. You only get that in that position. And like you said, after just training it for 45 minutes or an hour, you're primed to be able to see those things and really kind of cement them in. If you just go straight to live training, you're right, you may get one shot at that. Whereas if you do that positional training, you have more opportunity to really
develop it
and then, ultimately sink it in and remember it. So
yeah. And that's the thing too, is with some of my older students, some of the guys that are, when I say older, I mean like, I'm talking about guys that are not looking to be UFC fighters. So even like over 30, I'm almost 40. And at that time, it's like, let's say you're getting 6 hours of sleep a night, you're taking care of your kids, you're doing all this stuff, you get injured much more easily. So like, I find that the positional training is much safer. Because it's like it's isolated and stop past that point and like things don't get, and if you are kind of like, I tweaked my bicep, let's just work this, you get so much better, dude. And I think of it this, right? So, all right, you accumulate all of this technical knowledge. Like in jiu-jitsu, really what separates the belt levels isn't just technical knowledge. Like technical knowledge is probably the lowest thing. It's your sensitivity to a person pushing and pulling. It's your sensitivity to be able to see that opening. And the only way to do that is through contested training. Even if you have less moves. So let's say you're doing that positional training, you have less time to do those moves. You're going to get better because you're focusing on that specific thing and developing the sensitivity when somebody's trying to fight it, what to go to next, how to flow, how to beat it, So definitely. Yeah. Well, I'm a little tired from my daughter was up all last night, so I'm like, yeah, I'm having one of those days where
one of those days,
dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, just get through.
Yeah. So pardon me, we're not flowing as well as we always do. So we're just trying to caffeinate ourselves here.
Yeah. Caffeinate ourselves into.
Yeah. Artificial ambition, as your brother used to say. Yeah.
Oh, Nick.
Yeah. So yeah, keeping the goal, man. That's where I see it as far as like the jiu-jitsu, the self-defense, fitness. I don't know. You said you were talking about shooting a little bit. What kind of things do you see in shooting where people get carried away? I remember we were talking about just different things. One thing I saw one time, and it just made me laugh, dude. It was a video of this professional shooter. He was pretty good, but he brought in like a red gun, which is a practice gun, right, into the gym. And so he's doing like a CrossFit move. And then he's like using like the barbell to like pull out and then do his procedures to like his pull out and like his tap rack. And I'm just like, I didn't see how those things correlated. And it was like, it started to become like, all right, well, being in shape is going to help me to shoot. And then then they're like, well, I heard this tool is good. Let's use this. We go, well, it's like, well, how about you just set a really general, specific goal? Like, get in shape? Okay, well, what is that? That's being stronger, being able to, I guess, slow your heart rate on your rest time, those kinds of things. But then we try to make it so functional. I'd say functional fitness is the most common, like, oh, geez.
One of the best terms.
It's a shit show. Yeah. Like you sent me that Instagram video of that guy using the ladder for the drops. I admire your work, but the thing is that tool is for a specific job, which is speed, right? And it's your coordination with the speed with your feet, making sure you can shuffle in and out of that. Where a drop step, which is a wrestling move, has nothing to do with that. And so it's like, then you make like 15 goals of doing that different stuff, but you're not developing. You said, well, why did you set out this ladder to do?
Yes. Well, why are you incorporating drop steps? I mean, it's on both ends, right?
Yeah.
I want to use a ladder to improve my. I mean, we can argue about ladders and their effectiveness, but essentially, what you would use a ladder for would be really skeletal and coordination, right? Getting my brain to tell my body what to do and my body listening to my brain efficiently.
Yeah. You know, I want to come back to that though. So just remember that right after you said that about the ladders, efficiency, the word effectiveness.
And then, so we have all these drills, and that's all, you know, those little foot drills, even some hand drills. And again, what I'm working there is and that's why all the drills seem a little weird, right? Because I mean, none of them really apply. I'm never doing an icky shuffle and moving that many short steps and that in any athletic thing. But what I'm really ultimately trying to get out of it is my body listens to my brain. So that's why a lot of the drills are kind of weird and strange, because you're almost trying to make it more complex so that your body has to listen to your brain.
Yeah.
And then we go in and then we just do, again, a drop step through a ladder. Well, now that's a move you already know. So now we're really not getting that muscular whatever coordination out of it. The only thing you're getting is, oh, maybe I have to get my knee to hit into the box. So we're losing the goal of, again, using that ladder and what we're trying to get out of the ladder, but we're also losing the goal of what's the purpose of a drop step? Why do we add those into our warm-ups? Why do we, you know,
in order to perform a takedown?
Yeah.
And it's not an effective tool for learning that.
Correct. And well, the drop step is a very effective tool in learning a takedown, but the purpose of it is to take a step and drive and get in deep on a takedown.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to train drop steps, that's kind of the purpose. I'm going to train them across the mat, trying to gain ground. It's much like a jump, right? It's an explosive type movement. And there's some technique involved, but ultimately that's what I'm working. But if I start to now try to confine that movement into where I have to hit this box and the short back and forth, well, now I'm kind of losing the purpose of that drop step. And again, keeping the goal of training a drop step is to get in deep on a takedown. Well, if I'm now not training to shoot that as deep as possible, because I need to hit it in this exact spot, now I'm, again, losing the goal of why I'm training drop steps, and I'm losing the goal of why I'm using a ladder.
Yeah. Now, as a whole, using the agility ladder, I like it in warm-ups. It does really kind of get your heart rate elevated. But as far as applicability, I mean, what have you seen working with different athletes and things using an agility ladder? Because my personal preference is this, right? So my thing is I saw this thing for like stick fighting, right? And they had all these agility ladder drills, like hopping in and hopping out, and then coordinating it with your hand using the stick. And so I spent a couple months doing it, and I saw no difference in the translation from doing that to my ability to hop in and out of stick fighting, to be able to like hit somebody and pop out. It didn't help me, so to speak. So what's been your experience as far as agility?
So study-wise, there's really nothing that shows that ladder drills are very effective, and or most high-end strength coaches are not including them outside of a warm-up. They're, again, great for a warm-up, great for getting your brain firing, great for getting your heart rate up, doing some little movements to get your body listening, again, staying on your toes, that kind of stuff, which really just gets you, you know, warmed up and ready to perform. Personally, I think they can be beneficial for getting I hate using the term athleticism because it's doesn't really mean anything. So you know, it kind of can mean anything, so it kind of means nothing. But really, if you have somebody who struggles, right, with neuromuscular coordination, where you have two left feet kind of term, right? If you struggle with your body listening to your brain, they can be a great tool to help with that. But like everything, it's kind of right in line with keep the goal the goal. We've gone too far with ladder drills. Where we then said, oh, if this can get somebody who's kind of uncoordinated to start to be more coordinated, well, then if we keep making this more and more complex and get more and more crazy, then we're going to make people super coordinated, and then they're going to be super athletes. And it kind
there's a point of diminishing returns.
Yes. So there's a point of diminishing returns, and then there's a point of once you've achieved that basic level, right? It's the same as, you know, I'm trying to stretching, mobility, strength, everything. Right? I'm trying to get strong so I can perform a certain thing. At a certain point, once I'm proficient at that, getting more flexible or more strong in certain things isn't necessarily going to help you once you are, again, proficient. Once you've, I guess, not so much proficient, but you've eliminated the deficiency.
Yeah.
I guess a better way to put it.
Sure.
You're deficient in something, you can use that to get there, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's say I'm really tight in my shoulder and now I have troubles throwing. Well, that's a deficiency. As soon as I get my shoulder range of motion to normal, I should be able to throw a ball better. But that doesn't mean if I get crazy Cirque du Soleil shoulder flexibility, I'm going to be able to throw a ball even better.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
I've essentially taken away the deficiency, which will allow me to perform.
Even,
a lot of people
even designing workouts. I even see it like if we design a workout, you most times do not get too far from general prepared fitness, which is just, it's like prepared for anything type fitness. A little bit of cardio, quite a bit of strength, you know what I mean? And that's it. And general strength, not like getting into the specifics of like using these super functional things. And I think like watching fighter montages on the UFC, whatever, kind of gives people the wrong idea of what they should be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, I can't even think of how many times it's like I'm training a fighter and I'm just like, just practice your fundamentals. Just work on your guard stuff. Make sure your arm bars are tight, this. And then it's like, dude, almost guaranteed a month or two right before the fight, you're like, you know what, coach, I really think I need to work on leg locks because I don't want to get caught in a leg lock and this. And I'm just like, oh, just work on your stuff. And then they end up like getting an arm bar in the close guard. And you're like, see, I told you, like, which is a foundational move.
Yes.
Fundamental move. Like,
I think that goes perfectly with, again, keep the goal. And it's also part of understanding where you are, right? And it becomes something that, I really realized when I started, when I went back to grad school and really started getting into more of that high-end strength and conditioning, right? We started looking at, D1 athletes, right? Big 12, legit D1 athletes. And then from there, you start doing seminars and learning stuff from, pro high-end strength and conditioning coaches. And you start to learn the differences. And one thing you see, especially at the pro level and getting towards high-end, D1 college level, is it's, once you hit the pros, most of what those strength coaches are doing is more maintenance and injury prevention, maintenance, and then little tiny tweaks to maximize performance, right? Because that athlete, think about it. That guy's in the NFL, right? There's no chance he's weak by any means. There's no chance he's slow by any means. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've essentially taken away a lot of those deficiencies and they're already developed, right? Whereas if I'm a high school kid, I need to still get stronger, right? I still need to get faster. I still need to develop a lot of those skills. And a lot of times we look towards elite athletes who already have those, and now their differences. And again, you start talking Olympics where it's, hey, difference between a winner and a loser in there is hundredths of a second. Yeah. Now a lot of those little things matter. And so they may spend a whole year focusing on that little thing. I'm slow out of the blocks.
Yeah.
But a high-end Olympic athlete or a high-end athlete can, because everything else is already there. And if you're not a high-end Olympic athlete, focusing on what he's focused on isn't going to help you because there's so many other areas you can develop and need to develop. And I think that's where everybody falls in, because we look at these, well, how does this guy train? How does this guy train? And it's like, you look at whatever, LeBron James, Tiger Woods, any of those guys, most of them are just trying not to get hurt because they're already performing at such a high level. They're trying to make tiny tweaks and not get hurt.
Yep.
It's realistically what they're doing. And I think you see the same thing with high-end fighters and the UFC guys where, assuming you're in the UFC and you're fighting, you have probably a pretty good skill level. And most of their camps are certain things that are really geared towards that fight, that specific fight.
Yeah.
I'm fighting whoever. I'm fighting Connor. I'm going to work takedowns and my submissions because that's where he's weak. And I need to make sure my hands stay up and I'm not going to get caught, right? And focusing on those things. But that's not to say that's the best way to train a fighter. It's the best way to train that fighter for that opponent. Yeah.
You see that in fighting, I've had that problem. And the same thing with competitive jiu-jitsu guys. I'm like, what it takes to win a Naga tournament at white to blue, don't look to the Mendez brothers to see that. I mean, not saying that you couldn't. I mean, you can develop anything and be good at it and win it. But the risk reward becomes like, it's like, dude, it's going to be way lower risk to work on the fundamentals, and you'll have a better chance of winning if you work this versus trying to do what the black belts are doing. You know. So yeah, you see it all the time, dude.
Yeah, focusing on one aspect, and again, losing the goal. And it's not that it's always intentional, right? It's not that, people go out and intend to lose sight of their original goal. It's just something that happens, right? It's happened to me. Like I said, I want to get in shape and be better at jiu-jitsu, and so I got to get stronger. So I start lifting, and then, man, I'm getting stronger. Ooh, this program will help me get even stronger. And the next thing I know, my only focus is getting stronger, when it's like, you just kind of slowly fall into it. I didn't go in there one day and say, F jiu-jitsu, I just want to be strong.
Yeah, I mean, but let's even think of the average person, dude. Like, you go to the gym, right? And this is how it usually goes for people. It's like, all right, well, I want to get a little bit better shape, so I'm going to go and start lifting weights. You start lifting weights, and then you get carried away. Like, man, I can't get my biceps big enough. And then it's just like, it just goes down this crazy path until you're like, buying steroids from the guy in the fucking parking lot. You know what I mean? And it's like, the goal wasn't to become a bodybuilder. It was just like to build some muscle and look a little bit better when you wear a t-shirt. Now it's like you're getting crazy and I see it a lot too with women. What it seems to be is those fitness competitions, those women bodybuilding things, where they go, I want to get in better shape. And then it just turns into this crazy thing where they're just doing all this crazy stuff, and they're not having their periods anymore because they're not eating enough fat, all this crazy stuff. And you're like, well, yeah. And not that I'm saying it's not good to have these goals, but when they start to really affect you physically, it's time to kind of reevaluate it. And, I think for me, what I'm seeing is just the accumulation of injuries through all these years. I've got to readjust my goals a lot more, You
have to readjust, and you have to keep the goal. And I think it's the same thing. And I think it's a bigger thing kind of in that position where we are now, right? We're dads, we got families, we got other stuff we have to do. We're getting older.
Yeah.
Trying to win any more, at least jiu-jitsu world championships. I'm not. Trying to win a few
train like that,
I guess. But yeah, it's, when you're young, it's easy and it's fine. I mean, when I kind of fell into that where I wanted to, deadlift 500-600 pounds, didn't really affect me because I had all the time in the world, right? I was young, I could recover from injury. So even though it kind of derailed me, it didn't derail me that much. I was still able to train. But I think as we get older, as you start to have a family, have a kid, where training time's limited, resources are limited, recovery time, all those things are limited, it becomes even more important to make sure your goal is your goal.
Yes.
You don't have all the time to train everything.
Those three things pulling from you are just so underrated. That the limited resources, limited time, and limited recovery. I get so much less sleep because it's like, man, there's some nights, man, I'll train my butt off, dude, all day. Had a great day. And then I'm like, man, I can't wait to get home. And then it was like, oh, the baby, she slept 3 hours too long on her nap or something crazy. And you're like,
so now she's not going to go to sleep. Yep.
Yeah. And I got to get up at 4. So you got to stay up with the baby. And you're like, oh. So now it's like, when you're 20, I can get a 3-hour thing and kind of decently recover. But now I'm almost 40. It's like, God, 3 hours isn't going to cut it if you lifted weights, did Muay Thai class, and then, trained jiu-jitsu with a bunch of animals. They're like, man, it's not going to happen, All of a sudden your elbow's not working so good, and then things start to get pulled, and then you go, well, and that's another one is just like, we want to have it all. And I think it's like really understanding the investment. Like you go, I want to have 6-pack abs. I want to be the strongest guy in the gym, and I want to win a world championship. And you go, you just can't have it all. It's like saying, like, I'm going to take 6 vacations, I'm going to buy a new house, and I'm going to buy a brand new car. Like, hey, maybe you can go for it, you can try it, but you are going to have a debt at the end of that. And, you know, I think that, you know, we kind of get that too. It's like, we're going to have a physical debt and our body's going to be like, I can't do it all, you know?
And it's, it's really prioritizing goals and prioritizing wants.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I was, a good example for me. I was getting ready to do a kickboxing match. So I'm putting in, like, you know, I'm doing all my pad work, doing all the stuff. Beatrice telling me what I should be doing. I'm doing that, right? And then immediately after all that work, I was like still working towards my black belt in judo. So then I'm doing an hour of judo after doing all that stuff. So about like 2 weeks before, I strained both of my calves, dude. So I go into this fight literally flat-footed because I was like, I'm going to get my black belt in judo and I'm going to get ready to fight this other guy, you know, and you just can't. And you got to go, okay, well, I can't have it all. And really focusing on maybe one or two, you know?
What's important. And then, making sure everything else goes towards those one or two goals.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the big thing for me really in the past year. I just had a kid, right? He's a year 13 months old.
Sure.
Right. And, you know, that kind of changed my world. I mean, I was still training jiu-jitsu quite a bit and still kind of had, you know, I want to be good. I still want to, you know, be the best in the gym. And I want to, you know, and then I was shooting and then I was working out and I still want to be strong and in shape. And again, at that time, I kind of had time to kind of keep both of those goals.
And maintain it. Yeah. Manage it.
Yeah. And now I don't. And I really had to kind of say, well, what is my biggest goal? Right.
Yeah.
I can't keep doing all of these and be a dad and maintain a job. You know, that funds all my fun hobbies. So, okay. I want to hang out with my kid. Definitely want to do that. Now I don't have time for both of these things, or at least I don't have time to do them the same way. I guess that's the way to put it.
I got you.
So what is my big goal? My big goal right now is shooting. It's one of the things I'm doing very well. I'm competing at a high level. And to me, that's my big goal.
Yeah.
So not to say, I had to stop training jiu-jitsu, but now I don't train it going in there like, I got to go this many times a week or else I'm not going to be as good. Like my mentality with jiu-jitsu is, hey, it's a fun workout. I enjoy it and it'll help keep me, you know, somewhat in shape for shooting.
Yeah.
And now, again, I'm keeping my big goal, the goal, and I'm using that and I'm still doing it. I'm just not trying to crush it in there. Same thing with working out, right? I go in the gym and I still want to be in shape. I still want to lift heavy. But again, if I'm kind of tired or I don't know, I'm not going to push because I'm risking an injury.
Yep.
It's, again, going to take away from that big goal.
From the shooting goal. Yeah. I remember it was like, this kid was coming in. He was a pretty decent wrestler. Yeah, same thing. He was like lifting and he strained his neck lifting. And then he's like, I can't do this tournament because of whatever. And somebody was like, I thought you wanted to do the tournament. He's like, but I'm so close to squatting this much. And like, we're all looking at each other. And you're like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah. You know, I've kind of found the same thing with me. I was competing still in jiu-jitsu, trying to do some kickboxing matches and things like that. And then I took on Filipino martial arts, and I did that because I wanted to be a little bit more well-rounded with weapons defense. Now it's been 2 years, and I just feel like the amount of commitment it would take me to compete, because all those hours that I'd have to get in with making sure that, you know, your wrestling game is good, getting back into the judo, and it's too much. And so I was like, I'm not competing anymore, but because I want to focus on being a better, more well-rounded coach. You know, what's the goal? The goal is to be a better coach. You know, and it's like the competition for me it has fulfilled that part of me that will help me be a better coach. But at this point, it's just another goal if I keep doing it, you know? So I totally relate. But yeah, man, I think we're running up out of time here, man. Anything you want to add before we head out there, Jeremy?
No, I think, big thing is, you know, try every now and then to take a step back and, you know, why am I doing these things? and what can I maybe cut out that really isn't helping me towards my big goal or my big one, what I want to get out of this.
Sure.
And you know, or is there an area where maybe I've gone a little too far into that and gotten away from, again, that original intent or goal?
Okay.
And just reevaluating. And goals can change, and that's fine. But I think, again, if you still have this goal and then you start heading this direction, if we never adjust and come back, now we're going to have a long way to get back to that original goal.
Yes.
So the more we can try to correct and get back on track towards that goal, I think the better.
I agree. I think what's good is if you write down a goal, write the why down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something from, you know, old school Tony Robbins stuff. I think because that will help you to understand it'll help with your motivation to continue. Mm-hmm. Because you'll understand why you're doing it. And mm-hmm. if your life deviates from making that goal as easy, you know, which is easy, but if life makes it more difficult, you can either find ways to readjust so that you're still mm-hmm. working towards that goal, or understand that maybe your why wasn't strong enough or whatever it is, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's it, man. Yeah.
The why is a lot of what we end up talking about when you get off track and we have those phone calls. We're like, hey, what's going on? And you're like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And then I added these in, and I go, why?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I mean, I guess I added these so I can get better at my one-arm push-ups. Okay. But is that helping you with the reason why you're doing the one-arm push-ups?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's not. And so just using that simple why question, like, again, why are you going to add this? Or why is your workout set up this way?
Yeah.
And when you start to realize, well, it's set up this way for this reason, when it's like, well, was that your original intent? Or is all your reasons why you're doing these things, do those reasons why fit your goal?
Yeah.
So I think the why is a huge one. I think that's really important for people to understand.
Sure. Awesome. So if you can, go ahead and subscribe to this video on YouTube. Jeremy, what's the best way to get in contact with you, my man?
Probably Facebook, Instagram. I'm on those two fairly often.
All right. What's your Instagram there? How do we get on that?
It is Chubbles 5429. Let me check.
Oh.
Chubbles 54.
Okay, Chubbles. CHUBBLES.
LES.
All right, I like it. Cool. Awesome. You can also follow the Hardcore Dads Club. All right. If you guys have questions, comments, critiques, whatever you like, just go ahead and comment on it, and we'll try to get to it, man. All right. Thank you very much, Chubbs. I'll see you later, Dick.
Thank you, Lex.
Yes, sir.
Later.